The past holds within it a trove of stories that continue to shape the present and future. One such story is that of Andrew Jackson, the 7th President of the United States, who fatally wounded a man during a duel in the early 1800s. And instead of getting condemned and thrown in jail for it, he received praise and recognition that helped him attain the highest political position in the country. In a time where personal honor was a prized virtue, Mr. Jackson took the risk of taking another man's life for the sake of his reputation. Jackson's opponent was a man named Charles Dickinson, a hot-headed and quarrelsome lawyer residing in the state of Tennessee. He was known for being a skilled marksman and a duelist, and was involved in at least 26 duels during his lifetime. The animosity between Jackson and Dickinson had been building for years, fueled by insults, accusations, and even a horse race that ended in controversy. One of the first disputes happened in 1803, when Jackson served as a judge in a case involving a debt owed by Dickinson to a man named George Eliot. Dickinson had borrowed money from Eliot and had not paid it back, and Eliot sued him to recover it. As the judge in the matter, Jackson ruled in favor of Eliot. Dickinson was enraged by this decision, however, and challenged Jackson to a duel in response. Jackson accepted the challenge, but the two men were prevented from fighting at the time due to the intervention of local authorities. The incident only served to increase the tension between the two men and set the stage for later confrontations. In 1805, at a horse race in Nashville, Tennessee, Jackson entered his prize thoroughbred into the race and bet a significant amount of money on him to win. Dickinson, who was known for his skill as a horseman and gambler, also entered a horse to compete. During the race, their horses were neck and neck, with Jackson shouting encouragement to his horse as they approached the finish line. In the end, Jackson's thoroughbred won by a slim margin. According to some witnesses, Dickinson was enraged by this outcome and accused Jackson of cheating, claiming that by wearing weighted stirrups, Jackson's horse had an unfair advantage. The argument between the two men became heated, and at one point, Dickinson insulted Jackson's wife, Rachel. Later that same year, Dickinson published a letter in a local newspaper accusing Jackson of cheating and of having a violent temper. He also again made insulting remarks about Jackson's wife, Rachel. And finally, the line had been crossed with Jackson, and he officially challenged his rival to a duel to defend his honor. And thus, on May 30th, 1806, the two men met on the banks of the Red River in Logan County, Kentucky. The exact number of people who attended the duel is not known, but it's estimated that between 30 and 100 people may have been present to witness the event that day. According to witnesses, the weather was hot and humid, with the sun beating down on the two men as they stood facing each other. The atmosphere surrounding the duel was tense and charged with emotion. Both men were known for their fiery personalities and quick tempers, and the insults and accusations that had led to the challenge had only served to intensify the animosity between them. Despite the gravity of the situation, the rules of the duel were followed with strict adherence to protocol. And these rules were simple: 24 feet apart, each man with a pistol, and the first to hit his opponent would be declared the winner. After each man's assistants, called seconds, carefully measured out the distance between the two combatants, the two men stood silently, glaring at each other in the Kentucky sunlight. And the duel began. Jackson took aim, but hesitated before firing. Dickinson, however, did not hesitate and fired his shot, hitting Jackson in the chest and fracturing his arm. Jackson managed to cover the wound with his hand to contain the bleeding, and while remaining calm and upright, he aimed and fired, striking Dickinson in the chest and fatally wounding him. While Dickinson's assistants contended that Jackson's first shot had misfired, which would have signaled the end of the duel, Jackson had disregarded this tradition by resetting his gun and firing again, ultimately causing Dickinson's fatality. Though Jackson would eventually recover from his own wound, the injury left him with persistent discomfort throughout the remainder of his life. Not long afterward, Jackson was charged with murder by the authorities in Kentucky, but he was eventually acquitted. The incident caused a great deal of controversy and was heavily criticized by some who viewed dueling as barbaric and archaic. Despite the criticism, Jackson's reputation as a man of honor and integrity only grew following the event. He would go on to serve in numerous political positions afterward, even as the 7th President of the United States. And so the famous duel between Andrew Jackson and Charles Dickinson was cemented in history, a tragic event that highlights the importance placed on personal honor and reputation in the past. While dueling may seem barbaric and unnecessary today, it was a commonly accepted practice in the 19th century. Jackson's methods in the duel helped to solidify his reputation as a man of great integrity and courage, a reputation that would follow him throughout his life and career. The duel can also be seen as a pivotal moment in American history, a dramatic clash between two formidable men that spoke to the tensions and rivalries of the era. While the outcome of the duel is a matter of record, with Jackson emerging victorious but badly wounded, the deeper significance of the event lies in what it revealed about the character of the men involved and the broader societal forces that shaped their lives. For Jackson, the duel was a test of his honor and reputation, a chance to defend his wife's honor and establish him as a man of courage and conviction. For Dickinson, it was an opportunity to prove his own mettle and assert his dominance over a rival. Yet in the end, both men were changed by the experience, and the legacy of their conflict would resonate for generations to come.